I
Hi
do want
guys.
to thank you for taking the time out of your day to talk to chat about this. We have a few new people in the community who may not be familiar with you or your content. I mentioned your name, and some of the new chatters that just came in today were like, "Oh my god, I love the Progressive Brat! Holy shit!" So, if you could just like introduce yourself to the community and kind of give everybody an idea of who you are, what do you do, and then we'll kind of jump into the topic.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much for giving me like the platform to be able to speak on. You're a really successful streamer in my eyes, so I appreciate it.
Holy shit!
Top 2%, y'all. Like, come on. It doesn't get better than that. Well, I mean, I guess it does. You're not Hassan, but I'm just kidding. Hi guys. My name is the Progressive Brat, and or Ari, whichever one you prefer. I stream every single night on weekdays, and I stream progressive politics, and so we really just talk about the news and what's happening in America from a progressive lens. I started my platform after my mom was diagnosed with stage 4 cancer, and I realized how fucked the system is when it comes to working class people and people that just can't afford to live in this country. I feel like we end up forgetting our most vulnerable population. So I ended up quitting. I used to be a director. I ended up quitting, and I started the Progressive Brat to go into full-time advocacy. So 8 months later, I'm still streaming. I'm still, trekking along. I've met some amazing people like Gremloe, Marianne. A lot of you in the chat are actually regulars in my stream. So hi guys. And so yeah, I'm also Iranian American. My parents are both from Iran. I was born and raised in America, but I lived in Iran for a year when I was 12 years old under this regime. So I'm very well familiar with I understand most of my experiences that I will be talking about are anecdotal because I've lived a very unique life. Like I'm the only Iranian American that I know who lived in America or lived in Iran for a year but was born and raised in America. I've been arrested by the morality police before, so I know kind of how that goes, although obviously I didn't have Mahsa's experience with it. And the year that I lived in Iran ended up sending me in a spiral where I was self-harming and I wanted to KMS. So it was bad. I had to go to therapy for 10 years. I saw some shit that nobody should have to see during the year that I lived there. So it's really interesting that also trigger warning, these conversations are hard. The people are going through a lot and they have been going through a lot. So I should have put a trigger warning before I said that. I'm
No, you're
sorry.
fine. It's okay.
So, it's just really interesting being able to see both sides of the spectrum, having a platform and being able to speak about it. Before I start actually talking about it, I do want to make 2 points. Number one, this is not a representation of Islam. This is a representation of what happens when a country takes a religion and decides to use it to control people, which we're actually seeing parts of it in America as well when we talk about Christian nationalism and evangelical Christians. So what you're seeing in Iran is not too far from what's happening in America when it comes to abortion, trans rights, and other things, and that's how it literally starts. So I just want us to kind of look at Iran not in the lens of like we're very far from them and oh my god we have us so lucky, but more so in the lens that this could 100% be us in 10 years. Another thing that I also want to talk about is that a lot of the Iranian people who are in America that are talking about this, we are now exiles. When I chose to speak out against the Iranian government, I chose to voluntarily become an exile. I will never be allowed to go back to Iran. I will never be allowed to see my family again. And it's a choice that I made, and I made that choice after I saw, thank you, Mitch. It's a choice that I had to make after I saw so many people in my family begging me to like share the videos that they were sending me, because even sending those videos is really a risk that you have to have a lot of balls to take. So making sure that we amplify Iranian voices right now is really important, because even the people in America sacrificed a lot to be able to speak, not just the people in Iran, although they're obviously the ones that are going through a lot. So yeah, with that being said, I'm done with my introduction.
That's okay. Well, where would you like to start? Do we want to kind of give a lead up to this, or do we want to talk about Amini and kind of the immediate of what's going on right now? Wherever you'd be comfortable starting, whatever's appropriate. I mean, the floor is really yours right now.
Yeah, thank you. I will say this, I think it's very important to recognize that the reason why Iran is in the situation it's in right now is because of American imperialism and Western interference. Actually, another point I was going to make in my introduction was that we also need to leave behind this idea that we need America to invade and interfere, because America is kind of the reason why we're even, actually not kind of, America is the reason why we're in this place right now. The 1950 revolution that happened in Iran was CIA coup. There's literally documents that were leaks from that a couple years ago, so you can actually look up 1950 Mossadegh, revolution, or not revolution, but coup and whatnot, and you can actually, it is a revolution.
I think it's Operation Ajax is what
yeah, Operation Ajax, that's what it is. Yeah, exactly. The documents are released. You can see that it's out there. You know what I mean? Yeah. The minute the Shah, the monarchy, I have my own grapples with the monarchy. I'm not a monarchist, I'm not somebody that likes kings and queens hoarding a bunch of wealth. But comparative to what we have today when it comes to, individual freedoms, they were significantly a lot better. But regardless of that, even when the Shah started speaking out against America and he didn't want to give out our oil for free anymore. He wanted to restrict how much power America had over Iran. Out of nowhere, he gets another revolution happens, right? So the paperwork and the actual proof that America was a part of the second, the 1979 revolution isn't out, but like we all kind of know, you know what I mean? It's one of those situations. And then they put in this government right now, which completely backfired on them as well. So, you know what I mean? It's just one of those situations where you don't have to see it, and there's also proof that there was CIA intervention as well.
Yeah, for the crime of nationalizing natural resources. How dare they?
Right. Like, the minute they don't want to give out free oil, it's a fucking problem. You know what I mean? And so going on to that, when the Iranian Revolution happened, the Islamic Revolution was placed into power. And I want you guys to understand that this is very authoritarian. In order to continue controlling people the way that they do, they need a lot of military and police. So there's multiple different kinds of military. You have the regular police in the street that do regular police BS. And then you have the Revolutionary Guards that are essentially kind of like constantly walking up and down the street, just trying to make sure everybody's kind of
in compliance.
In compliance, right. And then you have the CIA, the Iranian version of IRGC's version of Iran CIA. Those are people that you have no idea who they are. So they are your local corner store owners, they're your taxi drivers, they're your airplane stewardess. Like you literally don't know who they are. Like they are people who are purposely planted in the community to keep tabs on everybody. And essentially, if you go outside your house, if you leave the house and you speak against the, Iranian government, you say like, oh, the Revolutionary Guards are fucking assholes, ACAB, right? Mm-hmm. And you just happen to be in a corner store that's owned by an operative, you will end up going missing in like two weeks. So the general consensus is that you don't say anything about the government when you leave the house. So then you have the morality police, which is the type of military, authority that we're talking about here when it comes to Mahsa, right? Also, Mahsa means moon in Farsi, which I think is really eerie and sad about this whole entire situation, but we're going to move on from that. So Mahsa was stopped by a morality police. What the morality police is, again, you don't know what they look like. You don't know who they are. It could be a man. It could be a woman. You have no fucking idea. It's like Russian roulette when it comes to the morality police. The morality police, you can go out for 6 months and wear the shittiest hijab and have your hair out and have hella makeup on and your arms out and your ankles out, and nobody's gonna say anything because they're random, right? One day you'll be walking down the street and then out of nowhere 4 morality police will come up to you and they'll be like, get in the bus. What does the bus look like, right? What the morality police do is they have these black buses that are completely like armored and kind of blacked out. And essentially what they do is that they'll like, a lot of people in Iran go to parks to socialize. They go to, you know, shopping malls. Iran is very developed. It's kind of like, think of New York. New York kind of reminds me a lot of Iran. It's very developed in the grimiest way, if that makes sense. I think that's a great way to put it. Like, we don't live in teepees and shit, you know? So like you go into a shopping mall and out of nowhere you'll be walking out. This is what happened to my friend and I. And then like 3 women came up to us and they were like, get in the bus. And they don't let you talk. They don't tell you why. If you're lucky enough, they'll be like, you have too much hair showing, get in the bus. If you're not, then you just need to get into the bus. What happens after you're arrested by the morality police? That is like the unknown. Some people say they get arrested, they just have to sign a paper and they leave, you know, promising that they won't do it, like kind of like a citation. Some people say that they got gang raped. Like, you just don't know. Like, it's a lot of like rumor types floating around. Even in Iran, like the consensus was very mushy because a lot of people had very different experiences. But the general consensus was that you stay the fuck away from them because you just don't know what your fate is going to be, kind of thing. You can either be one of the luckier ones, you just get a citation and you leave, or you can get sexually assaulted and then you can't say anything because that's literally the police sexually assaulting you, and it's how it goes. You know what I mean? Unfortunately, yeah. I hate to say it.
And to kind of give everybody an idea of like who they are, is this a state-sanctioned force? Is this citizens like vigilante work? Is this some kind of institutionalized force? What exactly is it for, you know, the chat?
Yeah, this is 100% federal police.
Mm-hmm.
The morality police are federal police. They get paid a lot to do their job. It's completely voluntary. So it's kind of like think of it being a cop in America, right? If you want to be a cop in America, you go, you apply, you get accepted, and you can work as a cop. Now, I will say that the cops in America are not they go by city and county. The morality police in Iran, you're a state worker. Kind of think of it as like the FBI, if the FBI were
like federal marshals.
Yeah, federal marshals. Yeah, they have authority to arrest you. They have authority to arrest you on the spot. They have authority to use force on the spot. They have a lot of power. They're federal. They're definitely 100%. Yeah, they're not just state sanctioned. They're like government sanctioned.
Yeah.
Like, you know, the government does everything to protect them. Just kind of imagine a cop in America, but, you know, like an FBI agent in America. It's kind
like
of the same.
If 3%ers or Proud Boys were like deputized by the federal government.
Exactly. It's kind of like, think about if Marjorie Taylor Greene were to leave government and turn into a cop where she told people what to wear. Because the people that join these, yeah, the people that join these jobs, they're fanatics. They're government Islamic regime fanatics, right? Like, you really have to believe in enforcing a hijab to literally do that as a living, right? Yeah. So they're literally like Islamic fucking fanatics that decide to apply and do this job for a living and be happy doing it, right? Mm-hmm. And so back when I lived there in Iran 10 years ago, you don't question when a morality police comes up to you. You go. You don't question. You don't resist. That's how you die, right? That's how you get sexually assaulted. That's how you die. You don't do that shit. A morality police comes up to you. You shut the fuck up and you go. That's like the general consensus. And you just pray that they decide to just like give you a citation and you leave, right? So when somebody that I know went back to Iran, she told me that the people are resisting a lot more. So she said that if a morality police were to come up to a woman in the street, the woman would say no, and then a bunch of people around her would like come to like advocate for her and be like, no, don't arrest her. Right. Or they would film it and then release the footage, right? So now, like from a decade ago when I lived there to now, you're seeing a huge shift in in the attitudes, right? Where 10 years ago, people were compliant. 10 years ago, people were like, well, this is kind of just what we have to deal with, and this is what is given to us, right? They're too powerful. We can't do anything against them. Now, you have more of a culture that accepts fighting back, right? A lot of people, a lot of women who are stopped now, a lot of men come to like protect her, right? They come to tell the like guards to go away. And mind you, like we have to also realize that this is like the Iranian people are not armed. Like it's very hard to get a gun in Iran. So they have stones and like paintballs. That's really all they have. So all of the military and the police force that I just explained, they're all armed. So the people that are constantly fighting back are fighting back against heavily armed forces, and they're not armed the way that we are in America. And I think that's also a very important thing to put into perspective as well, because I think here we're so used to guns being everywhere, but that's not the reality in Iran. The only people that have guns are is the government. Yeah, is the state. So what happened with Mahsa was that she was going into Mahsa's particular case, she was wearing a hijab. She was stopped by the morality police. The morality police told her that her hijab was way too, her hair, there's too much hair showing. There have been pictures of her that have been released just like 30 minutes before she was arrested, and her hijab looked absolutely fine. She was wearing long sleeves. It was kind of ridiculous that she even got arrested. But anyways, she got arrested. The water is a bit murky when it comes to this part, right? There's different reports. But essentially, she was arrested. They said that they were gonna give her like a quick, like 1 hour lesson, kind of like a citation and a little education lesson on why she needs to wear the hijab. Hours later, she falls into a coma. Her family's like, how the fuck did she get into a coma? And then they were like, oh, she had a heart attack. And then her family was like, well, she's 22 and she doesn't have any heart issues. So what the fuck do you mean? Like, she had a heart attack. And then hours after that, she died. There's been multiple releases of her CT scan. Also, it's important to note that Anonymous has released a lot of this information as well. There's been brain imaging of her skull that came out, which showed fracturing, hemorrhage. Basically, they turned her brain into a pulp, to be completely honest. And so she ended up dying for obvious reasons. And that was when everybody, I guess it was like kind of Iran's George Floyd. I think that's the best way to explain it. Everybody started standing up and like, kind of revolting against the government. There's a couple of things that's really important to talk about here. Iran controls everything. So the fact that they even took their phone to the protest is actually commendable, because what the intelligence in Iran is so strong. Like, y'all think the FBI is bad. Like, you have no idea how bad it can be. The Iranian intelligence, I mean, I do think the FBI is bad, obviously, but the Iranian intelligence, like, if you go out to protest and you take your phone, they will literally do a complete sweep of every single phone and figure out who was at that protest. And you don't get a knock on the door like the FBI. You either go missing, or you go missing, you get beat the shit out of you, you get sexually assaulted, and then you get released. So the fact that these people are actually in these protests filming and sending that filming abroad is huge. It's a really big deal, which is why we need to continue sharing those videos. I'm very against trauma porn, you know what I mean? I think it's a lot of unsavory footage, right? And I think we can all agree on that. But the fact that these people are even getting this footage, like, they quite literally kind of agreed to their death sentence, like taking their phones and filming.
Right.
So, it's one of those things where it's like, I do think this time it's different because there have been little spurts of people kind of protesting within the past 20 years, but it hasn't ever gotten this big with this much national attention. I think the reason why this time it's different is because it's the first time I've actually seen the people fully revolting. I've seen videos of people beating the shit out of the IRGC guards. I've seen videos of people coming together. And I actually just retweeted this video, but it's fascinating. It's a group. It's like 300 people literally fighting the Iranian Revolutionary Guard with fucking stones. Like it's wild. Like they have a huge kind of like a military tanker and all these people with guns, and people are just like throwing, so like the power of the people is so strong that literally the IRGC guards start like backing up, and the people like continue to throw rocks and shit at them. So even if I do want to say this, a revolution doesn't happen overnight. These kind of things take a very long time to actually take place and form, but we're starting to see the first elements of this happen, and I do have a lot of hope that this time things are going to change. Right, it's just the beginning. It really is.
I wanted to ask you to add to what you're saying. The old lefty quote: "There are decades where nothing happens, and there are weeks where decades happen." But as far as the state's coverage of this, have we seen any statements from the government? Have local news outlets been covering this in a particular way? What is the public perception of it, or the information look like coming out of Iran right now?
Do you mean like local news in Iran?
Local news in Iran. Any statements from public officials about the protests?
Yeah. So it doesn't really work like that.
Right.
And I'm gonna explain why. Okay, so in Iran, everything is banned. You don't have access to Google. You don't have access to CNN, ABC, Washington Post, New York Times, RT, Al Jazeera. The only news coverage that you have in Iran, and the only access to news you have in Iran, is the government's news, which obviously no one watches because it's like all bullshit.
Yeah, state media.
Right, it's state media, literally. So what a lot of the people do is they have hackers installed, and they illegally watch channels that are not from Iran. I will say this: getting a channel that's American is still incredibly hard. Quite frankly, like almost damn near impossible. What a lot of people do is they watch like telenovelas or like Korean movies, but anything Western is incredibly hard to watch, like very hard to watch. As far as the state putting out a statement, no, they've literally just been trying to suppress people. And any statement that they put out, no one's going to really listen to it because no one ever listens to it. So, you know what I mean? It's one of those things where it's like, whenever the state puts out a statement, everybody just kind of is like, whatever. It's not like America where we kind of like wait to see what Joe Biden says, right? I think there's still an ounce of respect left for our government, right? To the point where we kind of wait and we see what the president says, or what the president addresses, or what the press secretary say, right? We have a system kind of to which, you have a press conference, you have people sitting there, journalists, the journalists take notes, they go out, they write what their interpretation of the events were based on the facts, right? You don't have that in Iran. You have a couple of state-sanctioned, TV channels and news stations. They tell you everything that they want you to hear, and that's all you're getting. Any kind of news that you're gonna get from protests and stuff like that is gonna be sent through Telegram and WhatsApp group chats. Kind of think of it like China. It's kind of like the same vibe. Not really, because China isn't this bad, but I mean, China is terrible, but
yeah, it was controlled access to information. Yeah.
Right, exactly, yeah.
Well, from your perspective, what would you like to see going forward that's coming out of these this kind of mass mobilization of dissent against the morality police, against the guard? What's kind of your hopes coming out of this?
Yeah, well, I kind of became an exile yesterday.
Yeah.
So, I'm kind of scared because I feel like when my dad finds out, he's gonna flip out. But the general consensus is that you don't speak out against the government unless you want to get exiled. So, personally speaking, as a person that kind of foregoed, seeing my family or the country that I'm supposed to be from for the rest of my life, I do hope something comes out of this, something fruitful. Even if the government ends up Obviously, it's going to take a lot more than this to take out the GC. They're so powerful and they have oil money. But, you know, I do hope that at the very least they come out and they say, all right, like compulsory, that's how you say it. Hijabs are not mandatory anymore. So you can kind of wear what you want to wear, but we're still going to do our thing. I think, you know, it's a hard question because a part of me just wants them to fucking leave, right? But that's a huge part of the question, is that if a revolution does happen and the IRGC does leave, how will America intervene, and are they going to put in place next?
Yeah, because you know that like something goes down, America's going to be the first person to step in and say,
Right.
well, maybe we should help with a transitionary period of
Right.
installing democracy.
Exactly. So I've seen what the people go through. Like I lived in that for a year and I had to go to 10 years of therapy. Although I will say my situation is a bit different because I kind of went from like being this girl that was born and raised in America to like living in a very high stress state, right? Like when I tell you that Iranian people are constantly looking out of their back, like you're constantly living in fear. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You don't know when the morality police is going to show up. You don't know when the IRGC is going to show up. You have no idea when someone's going to give you shit for your hijab. You have no idea when someone's going to give you a shit because you're with the other gender, right? You don't know. You don't know any of this stuff, right? So the people that live there, they were born in it, right? So they that is their normal, you know? For me, that was not my normal. I was like, what the fuck is this? You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So
the generational trauma's been normalized.
right, exactly. The generational trauma and the government authoritarian ruling has been normalized. They are very well aware that it's not normal, that they're probably the only people in this world that go through it. But at the same time, it's one of those things where it's like, oh well, it's just something we have to deal with. You know, these are the cards that we were dealt with. But I think now the public, you know, the public perception is like, no, like I don't care. I'm not dealing with this. And also, I do want to say another thing, which was the point I was trying to make earlier, but I totally forgot to make it. So, Iran is heavily sanctioned by America, and they have been for the past decade. So, we also have to look at the scope of like the things that are happening in Iran as well, right? Most of the population in Iran is Gen Z and Gen X. They are young people. That's the majority of the population in Iran. The majority is built up of Gen Z and Gen X. Now, what are we looking at? We're looking at a population that is 80% educated, college educated, right? Now, what do you have when you have a bunch of college educated students? A shit ton of people that won't work, right? But there's no work because of sanctions, right? You can't import and export anything. There's literally no work. There's so much inflation to the point where people are struggling to put food on the table because the money that they earn does not match the money, how expensive everything is. And so, you know what I mean? You have a population of people that are living under medical apartheid, really serious sanctions, a younger generation. They don't have money to get married. They don't have money to do our generation type shit. They are not even getting jobs and they're fully college educated. And so this is a totality of a lot of different things. Like, yes, the Iranian government is incredibly regressive and oppressive, but at the same time, the state sanctions that are being put on Iran, which has been put on Iran for over a decade by America and Western countries, is also adding onto this pressure and the frustration that people are feeling as well. I have a question that's tangibly different in the whole situation. What is the relationship between Iranian Kurdish and the Iranian government? There's no factor. Iranian Kurdish are basically, so okay, I need to address that as well. So Iran is full of many different ethnic groups, okay? So you have the Turkish Iranians, which I am part Turkish Iranian. You have Afro-Iranians, so the people that are quite literally black and Iranian. You have the people that are European-looking Iranian, so they have blue eyes and blonde hair. My dad is a European-looking Iranian. Iran is full of a bunch of ethno groups, and they all have their own subset of language and dialect that they speak. So my mother, who is a Turkish Iranian, she has a tribal language that she can talk outside of speaking Farsi, which is the consensus language across Iran. Okay, does that make sense? Kind of think of like indigenous people and how each tribe speaks their own language, or they did before America fucked it up. Like, it's kind of the same idea, except those languages still live in Iran. So Mahsa was Kurdish Iranian. From my understanding, and when I lived back there, no, Kurdish Iranians are every single group in Iran, like, we all live together. We all see each other as one. There is no fighting between the different ethno groups. Like, we all see each other as one. I will say there's a lot of classism in Iran. So depending on how much money you have, that's kind of how you're respected. So I will say there's kind of a social caste system based on the amount of money that you make, and how much wealth you have. But when it comes to skin color and racially, like racially what subsect of Iran you are, they don't really, there is no like caste system. Or, to be fair, like, Iranians joke a lot about how Turkish Iranians are stupid, but that's like, it's a joke, you know what I mean? It's not like a systemic oppression kind of thing, right? I will say this though, there's a lot of Afghans that cross the border, and they are undocumented, and they came in at an influx after America left Afghanistan. Iran was actually one of the countries that took in the highest number of Afghan refugees after America's dump of a job there. But and I will say they are treated very poorly in Iran. The Iranians do not accept them for the most part. I can't speak for every single Iranian. The Iranians don't accept them. The government doesn't accept them. They're treated like shit. So there is a caste system that is involved with the undocumented Afghans as well. And it's a huge problem. So I would say that is a huge problem, but when it comes to different ethno groups within Iran, I wouldn't say that is really an issue to the point where the police targeted her personally. Yeah. So I think it's very important. And also, Grandma, I'm sorry, I wanted to answer your question. Thank you. I wanted to answer your question. I do hope that the people are able to eventually revolt and overturn the Islamic regime that exists right now, but I will say I am very nervous to see what happens after that, because I know America is going to intervene, and I just don't know what that's going to end up looking like. So I think the whole entire situation just gives me anxiety, because even if Iran does, the Iranian people do revolt, it's like, what is next? Like, who's going to plant somebody there? What are they going to look like? Are we going to become America's bitch again? Are we going to continue revolting and still staying as an exile country? I just don't know.
The sanctions going to remain, and the collective punishment going to just, get passed on to the next generation. Yeah.
So I just don't know what that's going to look like,
Yeah, I mean, it's tumultuous at best right now. And this has been, I think, 4 days now of ongoing protests. I believe it's been about 3 or 4 days now, right?
Yeah.
At least speaking of the possibility of America becoming involved in this, the very strong possibility, right? Obviously, America is very Islamophobic, especially given our history with the region, and the Islamophobic narrative is already at play here. Of like, this is what happens when you allow Islam to flourish, despite us dealing, as you said, with our own fundamentalist Christian issue. Could we maybe discuss the misrepresentations that we often see within Western media about majority Islamic nations and these types of narratives that are often spun?
Oh my god, my favorite topic.
Go for it. Go off, Queen.
Thank you so much. So so on 9/11, I came out with a thread saying how 9/11 impacted people in America, but we have to realize that it is not just Muslim or Middle Eastern people in America. This impacted even Middle Eastern passing or Muslim passing people. So many Sikh So many Sikh people who wear turbans were also impacted by the war on terror as well, which I think we don't talk about enough. So basically, the total number of reported hate crime incidents in the US decreased over 18% from 2000 to 2009. Now, 9/11 was 2001,
Yep.
right?
Ari, go ahead. I have to answer the door. Go ahead and just talk to Chad. I'll be right back.
Yeah, no worries. During this time that hate crimes had decreased by this percentage by 18%, hate crimes towards Muslims and directed towards Muslims increased by 500%. So I think this is a very important conversation to have, because when hate crime across the country decreased by 18%, during that same exact time period, the hate crimes towards Muslims increased over 500%. And so I think this is a huge conversation that we don't really have as much in America as well. And this is, mind you, this is not just Muslim or Middle Eastern passing people. This is also Sikh as well. Sikhs were heavily targeted during this time as well. Actually, the first person who was hate crimed after 9/11 was a Sikh man named Bilbir Singh in Arizona. He wasn't even Muslim or Middle Eastern.
Yeah.
The idiot that shot him just thought that he was Muslim. So we need to talk about the reason why a lot of this started happening was because of Bush's war on terror. And so basically, the war on terror was a campaign to convince Americans that Islamic extremism is coming to America and that we are directly threatened by Islamic extremism. That was the point of the war on terror. Bush started the war on terror to convince Americans that Islamic extremism is knocking on the door, and we need to fight it immediately. And if we don't, we are very likely to end up like the quote unquote, I don't like using this word, but the quote unquote third world countries that are experiencing a lot of this, Islamic extremism. In the same light, right? A part of the war on terror was also freeing the women of Afghanistan, right?
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of the reason why we went to Afghanistan, the war on terror rhetoric was, oh, we're going there to free the women of Afghanistan. That's what we're doing. You had Congresswoman Caroline Maloney of New York. She wore a burqa in front of Congress for 20 minutes, displaying how oppressed the women under the Taliban are. Which, honestly, I'm not here to argue that the Taliban is good, but when you have a white woman in Congress feeding into the war on terror and wearing a burqa on the floor, you can realize how fucking terrible the general consensus is during that time. So this war on terror caused a lot of Islamophobia. The war in Afghanistan caused a lot of westernized Islamophobia. Yes, that's a picture of Caroline Maloney doing her thing. She stood there for 20 minutes and had the audacity to speak. It was wild. So, and she's not the only one, right? You have many representatives that came out and said that, Islamic extremism is a huge issue, right? So then you build, essentially, when you do that as a country, right, as a government, you build this environment where people are just scared of Islam, right? People are scared. People feel like it's going to attack them any minute. And so we fast forward to a country like Iran, which is, the government is forcing. And also, I want to say this, dude, the majority of people in Iran do not believe in the hijab. They're culturally Muslim, but they don't believe in the hijab. They don't believe in covering up. They don't pray 5 times a day. There's this huge consensus or this weird believing that Iranians are fundamentalist fundamentalist Muslims, but we're not. Majority of us, I will say there is that minority that rules and believes in that, right? Obviously that does exist in Iran. Same way Christian nationalism does in America within the small spectrum that it does. But the most hateful tend to be the most loudest, right? So the war on terror on top of this whole like state-sanctioned Islamic, Islamic ruling that is forcing women to wear hijabs, I feel like it just kind of made Americans like scared of Iran, and just like I mean, I grew up, I was in kindergarten when 9/11 happened. Like, I hated it. I hated being Middle Eastern as a child. I was embarrassed to be Middle Eastern. I was like, I hated being Middle Eastern. I used to cry at night, and I used to be like, Dad, I want to look like you. Because my dad is a very white passing. My dad has blue eyes and brown hair. My dad is a very white passing Iranian. And I used to cry to him, and I would be like, I want to look like you. I don't like looking like the way I do. Because the only representation that I had was just people that looked like me dying on CNN. You know what I mean? I had no representation. The only thing I saw was just all the shit people would talk about us, and I hated it,
Morb in our chat here mentioned earlier that within at least the Quran, hijab isn't even like a required thing. They were talking about like fundamentalism that's enforcing this. Just as again, we keep like drawing the comparison to American Christian nationalism, but that really is it. All that's separating the fundamentalists in Iran from the fundamentalists in America is just those few layers of material conditions.
So I want to say this, and I want to make this very clear. A woman wearing a hijab is her interpretation of how she wants to express her relationship with God.
Mm-hmm.
So a hijab is a very personal, it's a very private experience, it's a very personal experience. And many women choose to do it after years of being not hijabi. Some women choose to do it for a couple of years. Some women do it from childhood and they do it for the rest of their life. Some women end up becoming hijabi when they're 50 and they continue to stay hijabi until the day they die. Wearing a hijab is not forced, and it is purely your interpretation of how you would like to express your relationship with God.
Mm-hmm.
And so I've met many women who were hijabi for a couple of years and then they stopped. I've met women who decided to put on the hijab and then they stopped. And I've met women that have always worn a hijab. The issue with compulsory hijabs, like, oh, you have to wear it, right? That is a country using religion to enforce and control them. You know what I mean? Which is exactly what we're seeing with Christian fundamentalists, right? I made this point one time. I'm gonna make it again. The reason why the Iranian government is enforcing the hijab is because when you oppress women, you oppress a whole entire nation. That's kind of how it works.
Mm-hmm.
The way you control a country is by oppressing their women, because women are absolutely incredibly powerful. When women fight back, when women speak out, when women start to protest, that is when shit gets done. That is when shit changes. I mean, this has happened multiple times throughout history, and women are a key factor within a society, either being pushed back or being pushed forward, right? And so when the Iranian government is saying you have to wear a hijab, whether you're Christian, whether you're Muslim, whether you're atheist, it doesn't matter. You have to wear a hijab, right? Mm-hmm. This is basically their way of oppressing women and being able to control the government, right? Because if a woman is constantly in fear of, oh my God, I might get arrested by the morality police and I might get raped, right? If a woman is constantly in fear of that, then, their brother is also subconsciously in fear of that. Like, oh my God, I don't want anything to happen to my sister, right? Like, you're putting a whole entire state in fear and anxiety. And I think we all experienced that when Roe v. Wade was overturned, right? I think we all had a couple of days where we were just, I mean, maybe I'm speaking for myself, but chat, you can let me know if you felt this way too. But you just felt complete anxiety where you're like, fuck, like, depending on where you live, like, what does this mean? What's going to happen? Like, are they going to do a federal thing? Are they going to leave it up to the states? Like, I am so confused. Like, what's happening? What's going on? Like, where is this going to end up? Is this going to go further? Is this going to stop here? It's the same exact situation. And so that's why I personally experienced a shit ton of anxiety when Roe v. Wade was overturned, because I was like, this is literally like deja vu. Like this is almost like, listen, if I wanted to live under a extremist, you know, religious country, I would just go back to Iran, like honestly. I mean, now I'm in exile as of yesterday, but I would literally just go back. You know what I mean? Like I don't
Yeah.
it's and this is how it starts. Like I want to be very clear, like this is literally how it starts. We are, you know, there's an Iranian comedian that came out with a video that was very, you know, compelling, but he said that we are all Mahsa. And it really resonated with me because I'm an Iranian woman, but I really want chat to think about this too. Like, we are all really Mahsa, you know, because like when abortion rights are being taken away, when contraceptives are being taken away, when educating women on what sex is and what the actions of having sex implies, like maybe getting an STD or STI, or you know, not using protection and getting pregnant because it only takes one time, right? Taking that away from women is how you oppress a nation, because that's when you start getting teen pregnancies. You basically take away a woman's liberty by doing that. And literally going on off on a tangent, but I just want to talk about one thing. So Mississippi has the highest rate in teen pregnancies within the country. Although Mississippi, Louisiana, and Alabama always kind of fight for last in all of these different categories.
True.
But Mississippi in general has the highest number in teen pregnancies. And Mississippi, for example, is an abstinence-only state. That's all they teach, and that's if you're lucky enough that they talk about sex. Usually the consensus is that nobody talks about sex, right? So you look at, well, how are women oppressed in Mississippi? The way that I look at it, if you're not telling a teenager what sex is and how sex can, you know, what the consequences of having unprotected sex can be, you are oppressing her, because she will end up more than likely pregnant at a very young age. You just closed down the last abortion center clinic in Mississippi. You're literally giving her no option but to have that baby. And a woman that has, or a person that has a baby at a very young age, very less likely to go to university, very less likely to get an education, very less likely to be a high earner. It's very possible you can be a statistical anomaly, but the general consensus is that doing that within the economy and the society that we live in is incredibly hard. And so I just want to tie this back to Iran, because like this is how you oppress women, is taking away their, I mean, in Mississippi, it's taking away their, you know, education of sex and having them, you know, having the majority or very high numbers of teen pregnancies and whatnot. But it's oppressing women, but it's in different colors, right? We're probably never going to have morality police in America that just like arrest people and then, you know, assault them, right? But at the same time, like, is this happening at a smaller scale, but in kind of the same way? Like, yeah, it is. It is,
Yeah.
because when you don't teach about sex, you have a state that has really high, you know, teen pregnancy rates, and also Mississippi is very low income. The median,
It's like 28,000 in Mississippi or some shit like that.
yeah, it's
Crazy.
28 to 30. It's 28 to 30 is the median of how much people earn in Mississippi. So you're talking about a very poor state. And, you know, the reason why I bring it up is because it's kind of the same idea. Like, when you oppress women, when you don't provide sex education, when you oppress women, when you take away their abortion rights because of Christian fundamentalism, well, you're kind of going down the same route as Iran. Like, it doesn't make you that different.
Yeah. Well, we went through a little bit of history with Iran. We went through the current ongoing protests, some of your experiences. Before we wrap up, I want to know, how are you right now? You know, where is Ari at this moment?
In what way?
In whatever way you feel comfortable talking about, like taking all this information in, seeing, you know, your family and your home country, or your family's country going through this, and like you said, the kind of echoes of what we're seeing in America right now. Where are you right now I guess it's like just a broad question.
Yeah, I think I'm starting to suffer from insomnia. I'm not even gonna lie to you because literally I can't go to sleep. I
Yeah,
can't, and when I do go to sleep, I don't get like a deep sleep to where I feel like I'm well rested.
a constant state of
Um,
unrest.
yeah, constant state of unrest, yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's tough because I don't think within my lifetime I will see the Middle East free and liberated because it's not just Iran. It's Palestine, it's Libya, it's Syria, it's Iraq, it's Afghanistan. Um, it's just the whole entire Middle East and the countries that did not agree with America within the Middle East um, have been completely wrecked in one way or another. And I think it's just really, I don't know. I think it's a lot to process. A part of me is really happy because this is the first time. I never thought I would ever see this in this lifetime. I never thought I would see the Iranian people fight back, the Revolutionary Guards. I've lived there. You don't even look at them. Like it's one of those situations where, I just never thought I was going to see that in this lifetime. So in some ways it's really exciting, but in other ways, I know this is going to be an uphill battle to a road in which I don't know is going to end up being the best thing or not because I don't trust America or Western forces and how they're going to, jump on this. So, I think on a more emotional level, I'm really exhausted. I'm tired. It's been actually today I was a lot better, but yesterday I cried for 2 hours and then I put on makeup and then I just came on stream because I had to stream for a nonprofit and I had to talk about what was going on. So a lot of just like kind of faking it on camera too.
Hmm.
Although this morning I just kind of woke up, put on some makeup, and came on camera. So I think this morning that didn't happen this morning. But I think when I get off, I'm probably gonna have to like rest a little bit.
Yeah.
But it's just and it's hard being in this place, right? Because it's like there's not that many Iranian streamers and the Iranian people with a platform, like, they're not connected the way I am to like Twitch and different things. Not that it makes me any different than anybody else or any better, but I'm one of the only Iranians I know that has a politically heavy, platform. And so, well, actually, there's Heem too, but I think Heem has been taking a break from Twitch, if I'm not mistaken. But, it's just, I definitely feel a lot of pressure and not just pressure too. It's just a lot of emotions,
Yeah.
and
It's
it's,
heavy.
and it's, yeah, and it's manifested into just like crying, which I need to figure out. So I think I'm going to talk to my therapist this week. I already texted her, just waiting for her to give me an appointment. But I think I just need to kind of process everything that's happening
Yeah.
and just, continue. Because I was talking to somebody last night. He was like, take a break. I was like, I literally can't. Like, I can't take a break right now.
Yeah.
I will take a break like the end of this week. And next week I'm going to Las Vegas. So I'm super excited.
Ooh.
I know. So if you guys want to follow me on Twitch and like subscribe so I can have some money in Vegas, that'll be amazing.
I got
But
your details in the chat here.
thank you so much. But yeah, it's a lot. I don't, it's funny because you asked me that question. I didn't even know like how to answer because it's
Yeah,
just like
it's a big question. I cannot express like how thankful I am for you to come on and talk about this, especially like since it is difficult to grapple with right now. I hope it wasn't too heavy for you, but it's definitely well appreciated, especially because I haven't been looking at it. I've been caught up in other stories, so it was good for all of us to get some background on it.
me. I was literally streaming for 4 hours about gambling earlier this week. Like I totally
Yeah.
get it. It's been gambling and then Trump and then there's been so many different things that have been happening. But
Yeah.
I will just like to close off with this. The Iranian people in Iran are putting their lives at risk, filming and filming and telling us what's happening and sharing their story with us. So we've got over 100 people watching right now. If you guys can just make sure you amplify their voices. Like that's really all they want. You know what I mean? They want their voices to be heard. They want people to be talking about it. And up until now, it's basically been Iranian people in America just kind of like talking in a tunnel to each other when these kind of things happen. This is the first time a situation has ever gone mainstream in Iran. And so, you know, making sure that we keep that momentum going. I do understand that everything has a news cycle and news cycles on everything end as it happens, you know. But it's just important to continue amplifying their voices and continue talking about it because women across the world, the nation, not just, you know, Iran, but the world are they're chopping off all of their hair. I wish I had the balls to do that, but I don't. But, you know, there's a lot of acts of solidarity that is happening. If you don't want to share, you know, the grotesque pictures of them like actually protesting or the videos, you can share like a video of a woman cutting her hair off, or, you know, there's many different ways that you can support us right now. And like, I think any kind of support would really be appreciated. The fact that over 100 of you stayed in here just to listen to me means a lot, you know, even that alone means a lot. So I wanted to appreciate every single one of you for actually sitting here and listening. And special shout out to you, Grum. Like, you know, I really appreciate you for letting me come on and talk about this because it's, you know, it's not a sexy topic, right? It's not as sexy as like, look, Trump just got charged, you know what I mean? But it's one of those things where it's like, you know, once we get a platform, we choose what we put on the platform, and we have to constantly make a choice every single day on whether we go with the news that gets you more views and numbers or the news that is more ethically sound. Maybe not every day, but at least once a week. And so I just really wanted to thank you, Gremloe, for choosing, you know, the not so sexy news that is really important towards a large group of people. So
no, I appreciate you. As Terry says, going through the emotional labor of talking about this and shedding light on it. Chat. This is Ari, friend of the show, incredible content creator on Twitch, TikTok, and Twitter. All of her details are in the chat right there, so be sure you go show some love and share her TikToks, because which one is it that's blowing up right now?
So there were a couple that blew up. Actually, if you show... Actually, we can end on this. Sure. Can you go on my TikTok and I can show you?
Yeah.
If that's okay.
TikTok.
So I actually got in there... So I got a huge, like, I got, like, multiple notifications from TikTok yesterday that I was going to lose my account. But then they looked at it and they just, like, censored the videos. They didn't take them down completely. So these videos were directly sent to me. Like, it was raw footage sent to me. You see the one where I'm wearing a blue shirt on the complete left? Well, I'm wearing a blue shirt on both. Yeah. So the video above that.
Okay. This one.
Yes, the black one. Yeah, the black one. Okay. Click on that. Sorry, guys, we're trying to navigate a delay. Click on that. So that was the video that was blowing up and got me into some trouble.
Okay. Is it Twitch TOS friendly?
Anyways, is it TOS friendly? Are guns TOS friendly?
Is there blood? Is there acts of violence?
No.
Should be good then.
It's basically a Revolutionary Guard, like, shooting into the air.
Oh, I think I did another video. Yes, I have seen that. We watched this yesterday.
You did? Okay, yeah. Cool. So, basically, these are Revolutionary Guards, and they're literally in the street, and they're like, come out, I thought you guys wanted a revolution, where did you guys go? And they're, like, shooting into the air. So that's the video that started going viral, and the video that TikTok started, like, massively, like, tripping over. But can you imagine, like, you're literally, like, protesting, and then you have a bunch of guards come into the street and go, like, come out, like, where'd you go? I thought you guys wanted a revolution. Why are you so scared? And they're just, like, shooting into it. It's like some real life, like, purge shit. You know what I mean?
I really like how you tied this to, like, this being kind of like Iran's George Floyd. That it was so public, and that the public outcry doesn't match anything previously, because social media had played a massive role in the 2020 George Floyd protests. Had that not been filmed, and had there not been public backlash and outcry, nothing would have happened. It would have just been another, instance of state violence. And I think that's a pretty apt comparison.
And so it's insane because Anonymous actually hacked the Iranian systems and released this video of Mahsa just like falling flat down and them like carrying her body. And so I think that was what sparked a huge amount of outrage as well.
Mitch did ask if there's a good, reliable source for information for Iran, like Al Jazeera, Democracy Now, AP.
So the reason why that's hard, and it's a hard question, is because any news that you hear is from people that are leaking it out. So you have to take anything you hear. Okay, let me explain this, and then I'll explain it. So this is Anonymous leaked this out. So the pictures above are basically her CT scan of her brain. And so those are the CT scans of her skull bleeding and stuff like that. And so that is her. So just play the video and then I'll explain it.
Empire Lives failed to get a hacker group managed to obtain the CT scan of Mahsa Amini. In these pictures, the fracture in the skull and bleeding in the brain are clear.
That's her falling over. That's her falling over. And then that's her on the ground. Right? And then they just come and they pick her up and they just like, look, it's just like 8 men that just like take her body. So the hacker group literally released this video of her getting basically just like.
And is this at a hospital or is this at like the where is she?
They're assuming that it looks like a police station.
Okay.
From my understanding. So this does not look like a hospital or anything. It looks like an office or a police station.
Right. So
the hacker group Anonymous released her CT scans and different videos like this that were released across the nation and which pissed people off. So yeah, this is quite literally Iran's George Floyd, honestly.
Yeah.
And Anonymous has a lot to do with it as well. I think it's really important to give them credit too.
That's crazy. And they made the official statement, Anonymous, that this is what they released?
Yes. So Anonymous came out with a couple of tweets. Let me try to find them. So basically Anonymous, here's the thing with all of this, right? The waters are so murky with everything. It's so hard to like, and even when somebody was like, what is a reliable source? Like, we don't know because anything you see or you hear is the people coming out and talking about it. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It's just like any news we hear. Anonymous. So Anonymous, the Al Jazeera basically says, Anonymous hacks Iran state website after Mahsa Amini's death. 2 main websites of Iranian government and several media websites have been targeted by hackers claiming to be from Anonymous.
Gotcha.
So Anonymous, I'm not sure to what extent they released stuff, but they have a huge role in the truth being released because the Iranian government is obviously not going to release her CT scans. You know what I mean? They try to claim that she died of a heart attack.
Let's see. You got the Al Jazeera article here. 2 main websites of the Iranian government and several media websites have been targeted by hackers claiming to be from Anonymous. Iranian government and state-affiliated media websites are down after a Twitter account linked to the Anonymous Hacker Collective claimed to have launched cyber attacks on them aimed at supporting protests following the death of Mahsa.
Yeah.
Okay. And those white hats, they'll find the information if they need it.
Yeah. Yeah. So they're saying that people are speculating that the pictures of the CT scan was actually Anonymous putting it out because the nationals, the police state, the IRGC, they all tried to claim that she died of a heart attack.
Mm-hmm.
But then when her CT scan came out, it was like, no, she did not die of a heart attack. Y'all beat the shit out of her.
Yeah. Very, I mean, it's a we've heard this story before type situation.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
We've all heard this story before. And also, chat, I just want to say this, also, Grem, too, like, this is all very, very heavy. How can we verify the CT scans? Yeah, good luck.
Yeah.
There's Y'all keep harping on this verifying shit. Like, I'm trying to tell you, like, you're literally, it's kind of like asking the Chinese government to verify something. Like, you can't, you just have to trust it. When it comes out, you just have to trust it. It's one of those situations. You know, I hate to say this. I'm a very factually based streamer, right? But when it comes to the Iranian government and what happens in Iran, when the people say like, "Hey, I just saw my friends get shot," like, you have to believe it. It's one of those, like, there's no independent, exactly, there's no independent media. Like, literally the CT scans are a bunch of hackers claiming they're anonymous releasing them. Like,
Yeah.
you're not, it's not America, guys.
Yeah,
like,
there's
you
not
gotta
going to be like an independent or third party fact checker that's going to go
right.
through it.
It's just, I really wish there was, but like, when you're talking about a government that completely controls everything that goes in and out, and anything and everything that's said in the country, like, you're not gonna, there's no independent source that can check shit.
Yeah.
I mean, the fact that Al Jazeera wrote about it is pretty big. News sites, I will say this, so I don't know if you guys know this, but my bachelor's degree is in journalism, and I was a journalist for a bit. I still actually am. I'm still a contributor for some, you know, station, for some news websites and stuff. If a site like Al Jazeera came out and said non-factual information, they would have to go in and correct it immediately if it was false, or they get into this really murky kind of, like, into these murky waters where they could get into legal trouble if they give out false information and they claim that they're a reliable news source. So I will say the fact that Al Jazeera wrote about this is pretty huge.
Mm-hmm.
What I will also say that is, it could very possibly be Al Jazeera going in and correcting themselves and saying, "Hey, we found out it wasn't anonymous, it was a different hacker group," or "We found out that it wasn't her CT scans, it was somebody else." So that could happen, but the fact that Al Jazeera wrote about it is a pretty big deal, because they risk being liable of different lawsuits if they put out false information and they don't correct it.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that is worth anything, but it's just important to note that the fact that they covered it is pretty huge.
Yeah, we're talking about a country with state-owned media, so information that's coming from the public is, you know, operating off of the assumption that these people are, you know, trying to get this out there to outside of their own media apparatus.
Yeah. Sorry, just really quick. I think it's really important to, like, not question shit right now. You know what I mean? I think it's the first time that, I mean, listen, I get it. Like, we're very used to being able to fact check in America, but I think it's very important to just kind of, like, take people in Iran and what they say and just kind of get it, and believe it, because even if Mahsa wasn't beat the shit out of by the morality police, like, and the Revolutionary Guards, somebody else was, and then somebody else was, and somebody else was. This is a very common story. It's not just Mahsa. It's exactly like, think about it as if in, like, Black Lives Matter, right? People have been screaming Black Lives Matter for years before George Floyd happened, right? Like, people have been screaming that the Revolutionary Guards have been abusing, attacking. I've seen it with my own eyes. I've seen the Revolutionary Guard beat the shit out of people for no fucking reason. You know what I mean? Like, even if the CT scans end up being false, which I am willing to bet my life that they are not, based on what I've seen in that country, but even if they are, we still have to recognize that Mahsa's story has happened to hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of other women in Iran.
Yeah,
and
the
their
CT
story
scans
was
not being heard doesn't mean that she's not dead.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
She still died at the hands of police. So if you, I don't know about you, but I don't trust the police if somebody dies in their custody.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Ari, thank you so much for sharing this and you know, being open and you know, even when it's hard for you to do this right now, I understand that. So again, I'm so grateful for you for doing this for us and sharing all of this with us. Go ahead and tell everybody where they can find you, and we'll touch base again.
Hi guys, my name is TheProgressiveBrat. I am a streamer. I go by TheProgressiveBrat on literally everything. So you guys can find me on every single social media website. I do stream a lot, and I am trying to. Well, I'm trying to be partner, but I don't know. Twitch has been weird in the past like 2 weeks. I saw why they didn't allow you to become partner. I was like, what the fuck?
Oh yeah, it just got rejected on the first try. Everybody does.
Yeah, I know, but they were like, you're reactionary. I'm like, what the fuck does that even mean? Anyways,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, I do want to say I appreciate every single one of you guys for listening. This is very, very, very heavy information. And so the fact that so many of you stayed and listened, it just means so much to me because I understand that this is hard. Like these are all very hard topics to talk about. But yeah, I just wanted to say continue amplifying Iranian voices, continue amplifying the story, don't let it die. The news, also, Iran has cut off all internet access in Iran. There's some people that have VPN access, but for the most part, people have been cut off internet. So just making sure that we take it up on ourselves to keep this story alive, right? And so, yeah, that's all I have to say. My name is The Progressive Brat. You can find me on everything. Gremloe, much, much, much love to you. Thank you so much for having me on. I sincerely appreciate it. Thank you for giving me the platform to speak on.
Yeah. Thank you for lending your voice to it. I appreciate it.
Yeah, of course.
All right, everybody, go check her out. Links are in the chat. We'll we'll do some more convos and collaborative stuff at another point.
I can't wait, chat. Thank you so much. I love talking to you guys. Thank you, Gremloe.
Later. You have a good day. Go get some rest.
You too. Thank you. Bye.